Chris Bober with the Bober Academy, and welcome to week 1 of our 8-week offensive line training program. Now, this is a program that I've used in the off season, and I think it's great for the summer, right? I think the summer is like the fourth quarter for offensive linemen because we are getting ready to now go put the helmet and shoulder pads on in the fall at fall camp and execute on the football field. So every single week, I'm gonna be giving you guys drills. They're gonna be very fundamental based. I'll still follow the same procedure I like to use with fundamentals, footwork, fit, and finish, and you'll see that throughout the drills. But this is week 1, and we're gonna get started on this journey over the summer to become better offensive linemen and dominate on the gridiron. Okay, so let's get started with fundamentals. Now, this is how I start every single camp, every single clinic, every single practice. We're gonna work on the fundamentals of success for offensive linemen. So you remember, my 3 fundamentals are playing in a football position, mastering your eye discipline, and understanding leverage. So the first thing that I start out with every camp and clinic is working on playing in a football position. And if you remember, a football position for an offensive lineman is going to be having your feet on the ground as much as possible. You're gonna try to keep a nice wide base where you're playing on your insoles are wider than your knees, which are wider than your hips, which make a nice triangle of power there. And the drill that I like to incorporate, of course, every single week I like to explain this and talk about it, but the drill I love is called the duck demeanor. And I'm gonna show you some video of some of my guys doing that, but basically the duck demeanor will be getting into a football position, lowering those hips. They're gonna fire their feet and they're gonna move side to side and front and back. And again, I'll show you that video, but I start every single practice with a duck demeanor drill. I learned it from Jim McNally back when I was with the New York Giants, and it's a drill I really believe in. So the fundamentals of that are important. Now, the next thing we're gonna do, especially week 1, when you get your guys back or you're just starting out, I wanna talk about how to have a good football stance, right? So this is what I do every day, right? I love to put guys in a stance. Now, a good football stance for an offensive lineman is just a coiled football position. So whichever side you're on, you're gonna give a little bit of a stagger, right? I'm still on my insoles here. I'm gonna lower myself till I'm right about where my knees hit my elbows, and then I'm gonna put my hand on the ground like this. So that's a pretty good football stance right there. And we're gonna go through that and check guys, make sure they're in a good stance, because this is something they do every single play. Now, along those lines, I also really like to teach them to preload their push leg. Now, when you get in a good stance, I'm in a very balanced stance. If I wanna go right, I have to actually load this leg and then push myself to go right. So what I teach them to do is when they get into their stance, if they're taking a step to the right, we're gonna go down here, good stance. I'm just gonna give a little bit of a lean. And right here, all my leg muscles are flexed, my toe is curled here, and then I'm just gonna have them come out of their stance. I'm gonna watch them to make sure that there's efficiency in their stance, that they're not in their stance having to go here, then here, right? I want them loaded so they're taking their step right or left every single time. And we'll work on all those fundamental drills. I'm gonna show you those here in this video here later on, but fundamentals are that important. You've gotta start right away working on fundamentals every single day. Okay, so the run block that we're gonna focus in on week 1 is gonna be inside zone. Now, again, I was always taught full flow zone, where you step to the front side, you cover up and just make it a dry block. But nowadays, we run a lot of zone read, right? And to understand what we're doing here, if the quarterback's off the ball and we're doing zone read to the right, he's gonna get the ball and work on his mesh. His eyes are on his read, and that ball carrier is aiming right at the center. So he's really centered a front side A gap, and it's never gonna go front side of that A gap. Therefore, when I'm teaching inside zone read technique, we are gonna have a fit on the back side of the defender. So if this is a defender right here, I got him right here, he's on my play side shape. So the tackle, the guard, and the center are gonna try to get movement laterally without allowing penetration. And in doing that, we don't have to get to the front side because we're trying to wash these guys past the A gaps so that the ball can press and then cut up. Either that or the quarterback's gonna keep it, it's gonna be there. So therefore, the target I'm gonna teach these guys in inside zone read blocking is gonna be the backside via the neck, right? So if this is a defender, my fit is gonna be on the backside of him. And I'm still gonna drive him, I'm gonna try to wash him that way, and he's gonna try to penetrate, so I'm gonna try to push him past the A gap to clear out a huge lane backside for the running back or the quarterback that's gonna keep the ball. So inside zone blocking, your play side gap control, right? Not allowing penetration, but your fit is on the backside number, the backside via the neck, and you are gonna try to get lateral displacement, right? You want to wash these guys. And then of course, if you have an uncover guy, he's going to come down and help out to wash, or he's going to double team with you to wash him past the center, and you're trying to get lateral displacement. So let's talk about the footwork portion of the run block that we're teaching in week 1, right? We're running inside zone read. It's lateral, play side gap control with lateral displacement. So what I'm gonna use, I love to use a landmark. I like to use a cone right here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my guys and teach them the footwork, just the first step, the second step, and they're gonna go through it. Of course, I'm gonna show my guys doing this drill, but to explain it, right? If you have inside zone read and you got a guy in your front side shape, right? You want to strike him on your second step. So your first step needs to be a little bit of what I call a skate step, right? It's going to lose a little bit of ground, open you up for that backside number target, and you got to give yourself time to get your second step down. So you'll see what I do when I show you with my drills with my guys. I'm going to have them line up with, we're going inside zone right, okay? Zone read right. So I'm going to have them be right next to the cone. And on their first step, we just started on a 2-point. All they're gonna do is they're gonna load this push leg and they're gonna skate step, right? That's gonna set them on that angle. And we're gonna do that a few times, right? Then we're gonna progress to do their second step, right? We wanna strike on our second step, right? So I'm gonna step here and my second step's gonna be here. And that's what I'm gonna strike with, okay? We're gonna do that a few times. Then we're gonna put it all together and then work on the angle, okay? So it's gonna be here, here, and we're gonna work them on the angle. And what you'll see in the following videos is I'll have a footwork progression, but then I'll have a striking progression that really brings it all together for these guys. But you gotta start out with teaching them the fundamentals, teaching them the footwork, and then you move on to striking. Okay, then now that we've got through the run blocking drills, let's move on to pass blocking for week 1 of our 8-week summer program. Now, every week within the run portion of the weekly drills, we'll have a single block and we'll go through the progression. Now, pass blocking, we're gonna start that progression and it's gonna build more and more over these 8 weeks. So in the very beginning, this first week, we're not gonna be working on too much, but we wanna introduce them to, first and foremost, is understanding how to be in a football position when you're pass blocking. So if you're doing a run blocking and you're attacking or gaining ground, then you're gonna have your feet on the ground and you're gonna incrementally go and gain ground as you strike and move through defenders. Now, the difference in pass blocking, I say, is the number 1 rule is you don't beat yourself, meaning that you're not offensive anymore, you're not playing defense, right? You're defending your quarterback. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna have the same posture, but your outside foot is gonna be your prop leg, right? And this is the leg that helps you hold off on defenders when they push against you. So what we'll do is I'll get guys and I'll put them in a pass posture, right? I wanna have low hips, feet on the ground, I wanna keep my stagger, and then I'm gonna move them inside. If they go inside, they're post stepping. If they go outside, they're working on an angle. And I'm just gonna try to keep them in that posture. And if you'll notice here, if I lower my hips, I can still have a positive spine angle so that when I strike, I'm not losing that strength of my core, right? So I'm gonna try to keep them in this posture. I'm gonna move them on an angle, and I'm gonna move them inside posting. That's like the first thing that we do. Now, the next thing that we do is we introduce the importance of a target, right? A target is one of the key features for success when it comes to pass blocking. I teach an inside target right down the middle of that inside number. It covers up the inside 2/3. So the drill that you're gonna see in the following videos is gonna have my guys, they're gonna get in that pass posture, they're gonna have a buddy across from them, they're gonna pick a target, and all they're gonna do is they're gonna lock into that target. The defender's gonna move back and forth, and they're gonna try to stay in that posture and just stay in front of that target, right? Whether it's posting or kicking, it's all about locking in on that target and then just moving your feet to stay in that posture. And I'm gonna show you those in these next videos. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some of these drills that we talked about, right? The first one we're going to show here is what I call the duck demeanor. And this is, it was invented by my offensive line coach, Jim McNally, when I was at the Giants. He's been doing this forever and obviously a guru of offensive football. But the key, what we're trying to teach here is to have guys play in
move in a football position. So you see, you got my two guys right here. They both got good bases. Their feet are on the ground. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say feet, and they're going to fire their feet. And this is, I've added this to all of my drills recently, is this foot fire concept. And it's so important. You want to be moving those feet at all times. So let's watch how they do it. I'm going to move them front and back and side to side, and you'll see how they work hard to stay in that football position. Right? So I'm going to say feet, and then I'm going to start moving them back and forth, right? Right? The guy on the right could probably have a little bit bigger base, maybe coming up on his toes. But this is the drill that we do every single day, right? I did this every single day when I played in the NFL, and every single camp, every single practice I do, that is a drill that we're going to do every single time. So let's watch that one again because it's really important, right? You see how they got their feet moving, and they're going to move side to side, and they're going to stay in that football position, right? You see the guy on the left here, he's doing a great job. The guy on the right here probably is on his toes a little too much. He's got to work on that ankle flexion. But this is a super important drill to get these guys staying in a football position. All right, so let's look at the next one here. And this one's going to be, I'll also this week we're working on our stance. I demonstrated what a good stance looks like, but here I got my guys in their stance, and they're working on being in a functional stance. And I'm also teaching them how to load that push leg, right? So they're all going to step, I think, to the left here. So every one of these guys has loaded their right leg, and they are going to then work on taking just a run step to the left. I don't really care which step they use, but what I'm looking for here is to see that there's no hitch in their stance. So right when they go, they are firing out of their stance. Let's see how they do. Right, you see how quickly they got out of their stance. Right, we'll go back and play it again. Right, so there's no waste of motion. They are immediately out of their stance. One of the benefits that we have as offensive linemen is we know the snap count. And right when that ball's snapped, we need to get out of their stance and meet our defender and work really hard to play on his side of the line or get to our set point for pass protection. So that's a really good drill just to watch your guys, help teach them how to preload that push leg and see if they're getting out of their stance. Again, a drill that we'll do pretty much every day because it's you get into a football stance on every play. All right, so this is the progression that we talked about with our footwork. So I love to use the cone as a visual aid here, and this cone here, these guys are taking an inside zone read step, right? So they're going to take a little bit of a skate step, and I start out with just working on that first step. So let's see how these guys do working on their first step here. That cone sets the angle for them, right? Boom. Right. So you can see how they've all gained enough width. Got a little drop here, which is really good. This guy could probably use a little bit more of a skate. We got a good skate step here, but that's a really good step. Their back push leg is still connected to the ground, which keeps their hips low. So that's a really good job by these guys. Right. So they're going to do that a couple times as you watch them or do it again. Boom. Okay. So now I believe we're going to work on their second step. Right. How fast can you get your second step down? Right? These guys are all in pretty good position. They're all gaining ground with that second step. So that's a pretty good rep by all these guys, right? And we're going to do it again. And we're just working that footwork, right? And these are the drills that you can do in your basement. You can teach your guys how to do them before lifting, after lifting. They should be doing these footwork drills all the time, right? So this is inside zone to the read to the left, right? And now I'm going to let them kind of continue on the path, right? Try to fire those feet through contact. You see this guy in the middle, especially, is doing a great job of firing those feet. Boom, 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 right? Really, really good job by those guys right there. But you're going to take them through that progression in the footwork portion of this for inside zone blocking. And now we're going to have a strike progression. And I don't have the video here, but I like actually teaching them to strike with their backside hand. But here we're going to show them striking with both hands, right? So what I'm teaching them to do is to strike with your second step, right? That first step sets the angle. That second step is where they're going to strike the defender. Okay. So it's just, I like working just when we don't have pads on and we're not going too hard here. We're just working on deliberate footwork and just put them in a 2-point to make it easier for them. And then of course we'll put them in a 3.2, right? So they're just working on that first step right there. That was a pretty good job. Now they're going to take 2 steps and they're going to strike here, right? So let's see how they strike on their second step. Boom, right? Pretty good job right here, striking on your second step. You see the guy in the middle, especially 1 step down. Second step is where he's coming through and he's striking. Super powerful. And these guys are all in a great football position. So I like to take them through this before I unleash them to make the full block. And now we're going to let them drive them off the ball a little bit. Okay. Right. So it's all going to come together. Step, strike, fire those feet through contact. So really good job by those guys there. Right. You look at the guy in the middle here, does an especially good job here. Skate step, strike on that second step, and he is firing those feet with a good base. His whole foot's on the ground. He's not taking too big of steps. Really a great job. You see the guy over here on the left probably leaning a little bit too much. Maybe his feet aren't on the ground as much. But this is a drill that we work with these guys every day. Really good drill to teach them how to strike, especially without pads, right? When you get pads on, obviously you're going to do the same thing, but it's going to be a little more realistic. And we'll do that, of course, down the line a little bit. Now, this is a drill, and what I realized in watching this film, I need to actually be better at setting these guys up because I want to probably put these guys off the ball. This is a drill to try to time up the striking with your hat and hands. Right? I mean, your helmet is not a weapon to be used individually, but it is part of your strike zone, right? Between the helmet and your two hands, you're able to strike with a very powerful surface. And this is a drill where they're just taking their first step is their setup step, and their second step is trying to time up the strike with your helmet in the block. Again, not headbutting, but you're also not going to put your head back and lose that connection to your power. So let's see how these guys do. I'm sure they do some really good, some not so good, right? So you see my guy right here, the guy closest to us, he's striking on that second step. He can probably have his elbows down a little bit more, but I'm trying to teach them to have their head in the block too. Again, I'm not teaching them to headbutt, but this positive spine angle is how you come off the ball. If this guy was standing up more and arching, he wouldn't have nearly the strike surface. Okay, so we're going to do this a couple of times, just working on that timing. And I see by this drill, I'm actually going to probably take my defenders and move them back a little bit more. Just a little bit of coaching for me. Boom, boom, right? See how he's striking with that second step right here? He's striking on the second step, and his hat and his hands are striking at the same time, right? You want to, the guy in the middle here is doing a pretty good job too, right? Of keeping that, again, you're not headbutting, but that strike surface does include your helmet, especially if you're coming off on run blocking. So that's a very important part to do that and try to teach the timing. This is a drill you can work with your guys and just working on the timing of striking hat and hands. Pretty good job with those guys. Okay. Now, the last drill, we'll get to the finish part here. Okay. So we talked about the fundamentals. We talked about the footwork. We talked about the fit and the striking. Now we're going to fit them up, right? So I got my guys here, and they're going to be fitted up, and they're already engaged in their block, right? And again, the guy in the middle is doing a great job here. He's got a little arch in his back. He's got that positive spine angle moving forward. He's got, he's a little on his toes now, but I think that's just probably where I stopped the film. But you watch right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fire their feet, get those feet moving, and then they're going to work on striking, lifting, and driving their guys here. And again, it's so hard to get a great look here. This is a great drill for when you have helmet and shoulder pads on. A really, really good drill. But this is a great position by this guy right here in the middle, right? Fire those feet and start driving. He might be a little high, but you want to actually take good short steps. We also want to have a lift component in this drill because that's what keeps you attached to the defender. As you lift on them, they don't have a way to throw you and get away from you, right? This guy here in the middle is doing a pretty good job of then driving him off the ball, a little lift there too. Taking short, quick, choppy steps. You see my guy on the right here, his feet are together. That's not a great football position. So we got some more work to do with him. But those are the run drills that we are introducing for week 1. So I hope you guys get out there and use these. If you have any questions, of course, you can reach out.
All right. Ready? I'm just going to be feet, then go. Ready? Feet. Go. Give him a look. There you go. There you go. Just see your target. Don't overreact. There you go. Good job. Thank you so much for tuning in to week 1 of the Bober Academy's 8-week summer offensive line training program. I gave you a lot of good drills in there, working on fundamentals, working on the inside zone read blocking, right? Some progressive there for footwork, for striking, for finishing, some great drills. We also begun to understand the pass posture and having a good target. So just as a reminder, if wherever you're watching this, would you please subscribe to our channel? Right down there on YouTube is the little subscribe button. I'd love to grow our presence online. Whichever social media you're finding this on, please like, comment, retweet, all the great things that they do on social media. I will be putting these all the way over on my CoachTube channel, right? They're gonna be free for everyone to watch, so you can go on over there and get them. I got tons of great content out there. I just wanna make offensive linemen better. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for week 2.